Hey guys, and welcome to Eden. I have been looking forward to playing this game for a little while now. So, enough talking, let's get right in. I mustn't stop, I told myself over and over again. Whether I wanted it to or not, my heart would leap to the past if I stopped, even for a second. My memories were gentle, beloved, beautiful, suffocating. If I were to immerse myself in them even once, I might never be able to pull myself back to reality. That was why I had to keep my hands moving. I thought of nothing as my fingers tore into the gaping hole in the ground before me. I thought of nothing. But it was futile. My heart leapt. What crossed my mind was but a mere ordinary day. On that day, she stood in the wind. She walked silently across the light green carpet and ascended that gentle incline. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, which carried a touch of humidity. I walked behind her, close enough that her hair might have touched my hand had I reached out. I was careful not to disturb her while she basked in the sunlight. The fragrance of the grass and the song of the trees swaying in the breeze wafted all around us. Suddenly, a clear, high-pitched sound like a whistle echoed nearby. Ah! Scion halted and looked up at the sky. In the distance, a white bird danced about in the deep blue sky. It circled repeatedly as though searching for something. Little by little it flew higher until its figure disappeared into the distance. She dashed. Her steps were light, as though she wouldn't allow herself to feel the weight of her body, just like that bird. I hurried after her. Wait! Scion! She must not have heard me. Once she began to run, she would not relent. She was chasing that bird, now no more than a dot in the sky, as far as she could. However, cruelly enough, the path ended. Oh my god, the art in this game is already so beautiful. She stood exhausted at the peak of the hill. The sight of a hazy mountain ridge with a lake stretching below it shimmered in the distance. So it flew away. The bird was nowhere to be seen. Scion was panting, but continued to gaze at the sky. That bird. I wonder where that bird is headed. Who knows? I shook my head gently. It can go wherever it wants. Oh my god, she's cute. Anywhere. Whoops, anywhere. As long as there is a sky? She tilted her head as a faint smile crept onto her face. The girl in her one-piece dress smiled amidst the endless green expanse. I felt like I had detached from reality, like I had wandered into a fairy tale. That would be nice. Her eyes looked once more to the sky. It's shining especially strong again today. The sun, the sky, the clouds, and an ominously red solitary star shone in the sky she stared into, or so intently into. As long as that star was in the sky, this fairy tale would not have a happy ending. That star which glimmered, even midday, was a symbol of destruction that would arrive in the not-so-distant future. However, there is still time. The world hasn't ended yet, right? Yeah. It seemed to me as if she paused a moment before nodding. Scion undoubtedly understood much more about this world than I did. She likely knew many things she did not need to know as well. Hey, Scion! Hmm? Will the world truly end? Yes, it will. This time, she nodded without a moment's hesitation. But it is only fun to live in the present because we know there will be an end. Both you and my life here taught me that. Right, Rio? I stopped breathing for an instant. Her smile was beautiful. That expression, those words, I couldn't sense an ounce of regret or doubt. I said something like that? I managed to calm my heart and say it as bluntly as possible. Even if you forget, I will not. I will absolutely never forget. Her gaze rose to the sky again. Just a little longer. She looked like a saint offering a prayer to the heavens. I want to be beneath this sky and these clouds just for a little longer. She gazed longingly into the endless distance. Such a simple wish. I'll grant it. That was my purpose after all. Rio. Yes? I want to be here. Here with you. We returned to the field at the end of our post-lunch walk. The temperature rose just a little, so I told Scion she should go back to the house, but there's nothing for me to do if I go back. Don't treat me like a guest. Even I can be of some use. If she put it that way, I couldn't stop her. Speaking of which, she had been picking the auxiliary buds from the tomatoes for a while now. I didn't think it was a job that required such concentration. Ah! Huh? I stopped digging in the potato field at the sound of her tiny shriek. Scion, what's wrong? I stood up and rushed to her side. Dear God, the art in this is fucking beautiful. It was an earthworm. I stared at her silently. But they're grotesque no matter how many times I see them. She was sheltered to such an extreme that she had almost never came into contact with them before. It wasn't just earthworms. She had only ever seen insects in encyclopedias. Wouldn't you be used to them by now? You've been working in the field for 2 months already. Yeah, she was a little disheartened. Perhaps I had teased her too much. Scion? Yes? Catch that earthworm and put it in a plastic bag or something. While you're at it, see if there are any more. More earthworms? We're going to eat them? We're not going to eat them. We'll go fishing this evening and use them as bait. Use these living creatures? She seemed to be experiencing some culture shock. I never got tired of watching her. The previous dignified Scion was fine. Scion, sorry, was fine, but I couldn't help but be amused by the way she gushed over everything she saw like a child. Okay, we'll do my best and try to collect some. Yeah, go for it. Ah! Huh? She gazed at where the potatoes were planted. The potatoes! They're really spreading their leaves. Yeah, it looks like we'll be able to harvest them soon. I took a quick look under the soil and they seem to be doing well. Wait just a second. I just realized. It's only been about 30 days since we planted the potato seeds. Why have they grown so much? It's because they're genetically modified. Genetically modified? They were engineered for cultivation on the colony ships. Space and energy are limited on the ships, so seeds which could grow and thrive even with limited nutrition were created. So these are those potatoes. She gave a small nod. These are resilient seeds that can be harvested in a short period of time and can grow in extreme conditions like deserts or Siberia. Scion, why do you know so much about them? I'm the one who modified their genes. I've also done eggplants, tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, carrots, celery. I don't like celery, so I didn't actually want to modify it. I would have rather exterminated it. If I wasn't mistaken, she was a mechanical engineer. Why was she working on those sorts of things? I thought she'd be virtually helpless when it came to field work and agriculture, but clearly I was mistaken. I'll try to collect some earthworms, but... She peered into my eyes. But... It's not very amusing just to collect bait, so teach me how to fish. Oh, sure! Thanks, Ro. Or Rio, sorry. Evening came and we returned to our cottage. Of course, we had to eat after all that manual labor, but there was something else we had to do first. We left today's harvest in the kitchen, and I went into the living room with Scion. All right, Scion, let's start. Yeah. She nodded obediently and took her seat. I examined the lining of her eyes and hue of the inside of her mouth, and confirmed nothing was particularly out of the ordinary. I took her pulse and blood pressure, and then her temperature. Nothing seemed peculiar here either. Do you feel strange at all? You asked me that this morning. This morning was this morning, now is now. So? I'm fine. I would tell you if anything were wrong. I wouldn't hide it. You seem like you're pushing yourself. I can't be too careful. I didn't intend to cover anything up either. How regrettable. In that case, would you like to do a complete physical? You might want to use the stethoscope as well. Having said that, she suddenly reached for the shoulder of her dress. Wait a second. Wait a second. I think I have this all wrong. Oh, God. Ah! Let me change the voices. Oh, God. I didn't realize. Okay. So it's so you'll trust me. You'll believe me once you've done a thorough examination. All right, I get it. I surrender. Surrender? She removed her hand from her shoulder and tilted her head curiously. Good grief. This was why I couldn't deal with airheads. But... Her expression stiffened. If you must worry, then I'll accept any sort of examination. I could see a tinge of red in her face. So, what I was saying that I messed up on, I thought that Scion was the main character, like the character that we're in the perspective of, but apparently not. Rio is the character that we're perspective of. Alright. Of course, it probably wasn't because of her poor health. Just how much of it was because she was naive, and how much was intentional. Well, it's not like I'm holding back or anything. Holding back? I mean, in the military, I only dabbled in basic field medicine. In reality, I wasn't capable of making a genuine diagnosis. The best I could do was follow Alicia's notes and perform a layman's inspection. I don't see anything out of the ordinary, so I'll just say you're fine. Shall we make dinner? Yes. She nodded with a smile, her cheeks still a faint blush. Thinly sliced ham and lettuce between bread, vegetable soup, and a lightly seasoned foil-roasted salmon. Tonight's dinner was modest, but Scion enjoyed it all the same. She was smiling from start to finish. It was delicious. You really are good at cooking. Why, thank you. It was a little embarrassing to be praised by someone sitting right in front of me. I placed some after-dinner tea before her. I set down my share and sat on the other side of the table. Scion's tongue was a little sensitive, so she blew on her steaming drink to cool it down. I could have just brewed it cooler to begin with, but it was amusing to watch her do this. It was a guilty pleasure of mine. What are you looking at? Oh, nothing at all. Although Scion looked suspicious, her attention quickly returned to her cup. Today was fun. I really can't believe I'm able to spend my time like this. Our days were uneventful. We mostly spent our time working from dawn to dusk in order to keep food on the table. But she considers such a mundane, everyday life fun. I couldn't help but feel a little sad. Well then, may I get in the bath first? Oh, of course, I'll clean up. Then... She was about to stand, but suddenly stopped. Rio? What's wrong? Well, why don't we get in together once in a while? Huh? I nearly dropped my cup. Hey now, what in the world are you saying? I'm not used to bathing by myself. She certainly wasn't your ordinary shut-in. Don't worry about it, just hurry up. But it's quite different to wash my back and hair by myself. Just do your best to clean yourself alone. You're so cold. She left the living room, sounding disappointed. What a troublesome girl. But for the two of us to live together like this, and for me to be willing to wait on her, was this sort of thing inevitable? What about my own feelings? How did I feel about her? When she says or does such provocative things so innocently, I feel like the cage around my heart is falling apart. Although this probably wasn't a bad thing. Not in the slightest. Sorry, guys. From the sound of her breathing, I was sure she had fallen asleep. I stood from the chair beside her bed and dimmed the lights. I considered leaving the room, but decided to return to my seat instead. Her breathing was normal, not particularly erratic. She was fine. I was just worrying too much. Her hand slipped out from under the comforter. I gently took her hand to place it back under the covers, but suddenly she squeezed back. It wasn't a particularly strong grip, but it was enough that I couldn't let go. Her petite hand was white as snow. I silently squeezed back. Her hand was a little cold, but I could certainly feel her warmth. Her mouth was moving ever so slightly, like she was repeating the same words over and over. What was she whispering? As I began to lean in, I suddenly stopped. Even in the darkness, I could clearly see it. A trickle of tears streamed from her closed eyes. What could be so sad? Could they be tears shed for someone she once knew? How much sadness is she carrying in her dreams, in her heart? I slowly released her hand. Unable even to wipe her tears away, I turned my back to her. I can't face these sorrows with you just yet, because I'm still unable to deal with my own. I still remember the soft sensation of her hand from that time. There was no way I could forget. I was incapable of forgetting all the time I spent with her. They're tainted. I stared closely at my hands. They were covered in mud, the skin was cracking beneath, and spots of blood were oozing onto the surface. I would have been fine had I worn some work gloves, but I never once considered it. No, I knew I would be digging such a big hole, so using a shovel would have been the obvious choice. What am I doing? What in the world was I doing? I felt like I'd been asking myself that my entire life, except for the time I spent with her. The cold wind felt wonderful on my raw, stinging hands. Shall I return to the past once more? I'll remember everything from the beginning to the end, so that I can move these hands again. Did I make any mistakes leading up to this day? This very spot? Was there nothing I could have said? Was there anything I should not have said? Was it that I did it for you? Let me remember, one thing at a time. I slowly closed my eyes. Some months ago, there were many people on the planet. Oh, whoops. I have no idea what that was. Okay. I guarantee something. If it's an easy trip or something like that. Oh, hi. You're cute. The girl sitting across from me said that cheerfully as she crossed her long legs from underneath her miniskirt. But this is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!